Good afternoon. Yes, as it mentioned, my name is Nouria Salehi. I am Afghan Australian. And since 2002, I started an organization in Afghanistan, helping the Afghan people in Afghanistan on capacity building. And as you see, capacity building, we are doing more in health and education in Afghanistan. So first we see what's the changes in Afghanistan between 2002 to until now, or 2012. So we know that the Afghan government made a lot of effort with the non-government organizations and also international community to start something and to rebuild. Because I remember in 2002 when I went to Afghanistan, you couldn't find a school with windows, doors, or roof. Everything has been completely destroyed. So they started rebuilding the schools. They started rebuilding the hospitals. And it's not only the building, and we see that a lot of things are missing and lacking. So in education, when I went, it's true that there was only 9% of the health care were active. And today is 80%, which is not too bad for a country like Afghanistan. And also in education, in 2002, the schools started, and the girls and boys, happily, they started going back to school. There were 50,000 girls going back to school in all Afghanistan, in 34 provinces, comparing with boys, 900,000. But today, in 2012, 2.7 million girls are going back to school, and 4.6 million boys are going to school. You see how it changed from 2002 to 2012. So, and now I show you our work, what we are doing in Afghanistan. We've got 3 different projects. One is science teacher training, the most important for the Ministry of Education and for the education of science in the schools. And also we have the second project, it's for rural women. We call it Life Skill for Rural Women. And the third project is carpentry for young boys that they have no skill and they are selling newspapers on the streets. So as you see, on the left side is the lab, because when we started taking the teachers for the training, they were all complaining that they know the theory, but they don't know anything about the practice and practical work in the lab. And it's why all of the labs in the schools are closed. So we started with 40% theory and 60% lab work for the biology, chemistry, physics, and even for the maths. So as you see, the trainer is a woman. In our classes, 60 to 65% are women and 35 to 40% male trainees. And beside that, you see the children. We are helping the children to go back to school. Most of them, they come from the very poor areas, and the parents cannot even afford to pay for the uniforms and shoes and stationeries. We are providing all of these for the children to go back to school, not for all Afghanistan, but for one area. And on the top, you see women wailed. They are covering themselves. They are still afraid of Taliban. And in 2002, in September, I went to Afghanistan and I went to a village. And I told them, look, I want to start a literacy program for your sisters, your wives in the village. The leader of the community told me, no, it's impossible. They cannot move from four walls of their houses because we saw and we experienced we don't want. So I returned for the second time. A second time, no. The third time, I said, okay, I should do something. How can I get them? So I went and I said, look, if they come, we pay them $1 per day. They just started thinking, and then they came back. They said, I think it's not too bad, because with $20 per month, we can buy sugar and tea. So I got them. I was so proud of myself for a few minutes. And then I realized that I didn't do anything. It was the money, the coins, made a difference between the poverty made them say yes, not me. Anyway, we started doing the classes, and as you see, women, they came all with their veils, doesn't matter, we don't mind. In a classroom, they can sit and study. And as you see, we do first 6 months of literacy, pure literacy for them, level 1. And after 6 months, they passed a small test, and they start vocational training. And 99.9% they ask us for the dressmaking vocational training. So because after the 6 months, we offer a sewing machine. And now in the villages that we have been already, they have 20 sewing machines per village, and nothing existed before. So they are very happy, and they're using it for their families, their friends, and their neighbors, etc. Okay, yeah, well, I'm going 2 times per year or every 6 months to see our projects. And I think I was better than them, so I wanted to show them something, how to fix the buttons. And the 2 ladies, they are our trainers, and they are health trainers. I thank the Cabrini Hospital. They are providing us with funding for the basic health and hygiene in the villages. Yes, and also the patchwork. So I know women, widows, that they cannot leave their homes, and they haven't got any income. So we created something for them. They just do it, and we leave them really free. We ask them, do something and bring it to us. So they do, and they bring it. We try to sell it, and the money goes back to them. This is the distribution of the uniforms. So you see, when I go to Afghanistan at the beginning of the year, like in April or in March, it's the beginning of the school. So I go and we distribute the uniform. Uniform comes from the women who are following our vocational training. For the vocational training, we gave them material, and we asked them to just cut uniforms for children. So they do. When we keep everything for 1 year, and sometimes we end up by having 1,500 uniforms. So, and then we distribute it in the really poor area, poor schools, and because they cannot go to school without uniform. So, and also we have a sponsorship program. We are sponsoring some girls to go to school, because if we don't sponsor them, the family doesn't allow them to go to school. They stay home and they work with mothers. Back to our science teacher training, it's a great success because we were the first NGO to start science teacher training in Afghanistan. And from the day we started until now, we trained 1,597 teachers. But I thank the Planet Wheeler Foundation. They helped us. And today we are running 2 different projects for 100 trainees in each area. So we hope that we get more money and we do more for science teacher training, because Afghanistan needs science teacher training for their teachers. There's a lack of 140,000 science teachers in Afghanistan. So you see the women, how they work, their trainers, and also their trainees. So there are a few male, but usually female are our students or our trainees. It is the physics classes and also the chemistry. And as I said, we've got a carpentry going in Kabul, and we've got 9 to 10 students each time, and we have 2 trainers to train them. Okay, now we are moving to the displaced area of Afghanistan. And, you know, the war destroyed, especially Kandahar area, or Uruzgan, and etc. UNAMA, which is a part of United Nations, just displaced the Afghans, their families, from Uruzgan or Kandahar near Kabul, or an outskirt of Kabul. And if you see their lives, you can't imagine that you're in a city. So this is the classroom with 86 children under a tent at 36 degrees. You know, I don't know which organization was, instead of giving them stationaries, pen and paper, they went and they gave them a few books that they are carrying. So they couldn't read on it, from it, or they couldn't write because it was in English. And also the young girls just in front of the tent to their school. Here, when I went and visited first the tent, and I saw 86 children without any light, but at 36 degrees, I decided to do a fundraising and sent solar lights. We took 350 solar lights. I bought it in Melbourne, took it to Afghanistan, and we distributed in the displaced area from Uruzgan, that they came and they settled at the outskirts of Kabul. So this is the distribution of the solar light, and they were all waiting. And also on the right side is the distribution of the blankets for people in winter time. You see again, this is the life of displaced people inside of the refugee camps or displaced area. And this woman, she's 16 years old now. She was 13 when she got married. At 14, she delivered the first baby. At 16, again pregnant, and she lost her husband. And she's living in a tent in the displaced camp. Yes. Each family has more than 6 or 7 children. And the man on the right, he was asking for 2 blankets. He said, 1 blanket is not enough to cover all of my children. He was right, but we had no money to buy more. We bought 1 blanket for each tent. Okay, this is Australia's legacy in 2005. So Australian government in 2005 decided to build a shelter for the resettlement of the refugees if they return back to Afghanistan. And they did. They built this one. As you see, the house, 2 bedrooms without any protection, no walls around it. And I went and I saw myself, no water, no electricity. So this is the gift of our country to Afghanistan. It will stay forever there, and nobody wants to go and live in it without electricity, without water. Well, we forget about electricity, but water is very important, and there's no water. And you see, it has been already damaged, all of the room. In each room, there are 2 rooms. Each room is 3 by 2. Okay, so it was me with the girls in front of the school, and I'm really looking. You see how happy they are to go to school, and how they are following their studies. And I'm really afraid that in 2015 they lose this happiness and they go back to the square one. And without the international community, Afghanistan cannot do anything. So we all know the challenge. Politics always destroys and the humanity rebuilds. And in Afghanistan is a big challenge. After 10 years, when I go and I see changes, of course, they are building more hospitals, they are building more schools, but there's no human resources. They have hospitals, they have materials inside of the hospitals, but they have no nursing staff, no doctors to teach you to work inside of the hospitals. And also, Afghanistan has got a big problem of the security. Who wants to go and work in a hospital which is not secure, in a secure area? And also, I heard from women, they were crying. I was there in September. They were telling me, you know, in the morning when we sent our children to school, we don't expect them to see them back. How difficult it is for parents to send the children to school and thinking that, he or she is coming back or no. All because of the suicide bombers. And it happens always in front of a school. In front of a school to destroy the education in Afghanistan, to discourage the parents to send their children to school. So this is a challenge for Afghanistan and the world. So we see it's not easy. It's not easy to go and see Afghans inside of Afghanistan and to listen to them. You know, they just 30 years of war, and now again uncertainty kills people. And there's so many people with mentally health, sick, and also they are dying at age between 35 to 40 from heart attack, stroke. These two are very common today in Afghanistan. So how we can help them? So this is a scenery of Panjshir area in the summertime with a lot of snow on the mountain. Snow brings always a hope for Afghans, and it is because it melts and gives water. Thank you very much.